to the Jazz Ranch. Welcome back. You know, in the old days, I am old school. We used to just learn the songs off of records or whatever. You know, we had some charts, but most of the time we learned them and memorized them early on, and then we remembered them after that. You know, we learned them really in our ears, you know, so we were able to play them for years from memory. Now, I had to relearn this song, Lush Life, because it's been a while. But once you learn a song, you'll remember it for many, many years, and if you have to learn it again, you will learn it quickly. And it's the best way to go. Don't bring charts with you to gigs if you can avoid that. Try to memorize as many songs as possible. I'm going to help you with that now with a rather difficult song, so if you're a beginner, you may want to skip this one. But here we go now with the Billy Strayhorn's Lush Life. Starting out, I just want to say I use mostly the spread voicing technique for this song. So I used it, and occasionally I use this locked hand technique as well. But the first thing I want to talk about is the form of the song, and that gives you a roadmap of where you're going. And you need to learn that first, the chord progression and actually the larger picture of the form of the song. Here's an illustration of the form of Lush Life. And it has two sections, a verse section and refrain. Now the central key is D flat major, and the verse starts out in D flat major, and it has an A section and then a second A section, each having 8 measures and each having a different ending. So the second ending on the second A modulates back, or modulates to F minor for the bridge. Now we have 14 measure bridge, and there's no repeat of the A section, so that's unusual. So the bridge now modulates us back to D flat major for the A section of the refrain. Now these two A sections are 4 measures each, and there's a first and second ending. And the second ending takes us to the second bridge, which is an A flat major. And that's interesting because it's the relative major of the first bridge, which was F minor. And also this bridge is 4 measures, and then it takes us back to D flat for the last 12 measures, which are a reprise of the theme and some new material at the end. So there's your form. It's pretty complicated, but there it is for you written down. You can stop the video and make note of this if you like. And now we're going to continue with the breakdown. Starting out with the first A section now, 8 measures. We're in the key of D flat, and I recommend that you listen to this song on recordings so you get an idea of the melody, or you get to know the melody by listening to recordings, either instrumentalists or singers. John Coltrane has a great version of it. It's been recorded many, many times by great musicians and singers. So get an idea of that melody and know it well before you even look at the score or try to learn it. You could actually learn it off a record, be even better than learning it from the score. But anyway, I start out now, it's in D flat, so I start out on the 5 chord, which is A flat 7, and I use this altered chord. I'm playing, this is an interesting way to start out, is to play an arpeggio built on the upper extensions, the flat 9. Okay, there's the 3rd, there's the sharp 11, there's the 13. Did I get that right? Yeah. Okay, now it goes right to, that's the setup on there, the pickup note, goes right to the tonic, in other words, the tonic melody note, and also the tonic chord of D flat. You could play it as a D flat 6 if you like that if you want. I think I played it just straight. Then it goes down a whole step to a C flat major. Now not minor, but major. And it goes back and forth between the D flat major and the C flat major. Down a whole step, back up a whole step. So the melody. Already this is an interesting song just because of this first section. Now it has a rising line like this. Now you want to, that's the first tricky part. You really want to learn what that is, and you want to know from the roots. It goes up a minor scale or a minor triad like that. So it doesn't go major, it goes minor, minor 3rd, right? So, and it goes like this. Major, minor, major, minor, minor. So you want to think that, you know, okay, major chord, minor chord. This is the first thing I had to learn when I was memorizing this, is that this progression is very specific. Major, minor, major, minor, minor. So I have to get that right. And then I put the tritone substitute, the D7 in there. Fits nicely. I went back to a D flat there. Then there's some other versions that like that. In the real book, I think it goes, you know, A7. then it goes right to the 2 chord. I played a little different. Same idea though. And that's the first section of the song. Now that repeats, and then the second time, let's see, I did this. Second ending now goes to C7 altered, which takes me to F minor. So now we're modulating to F minor for the first bridge. Now that'd be like taking the scale up to the 3 chord. So we're in F minor now. We'll continue with the bridge. So now in memorizing this, you know, like you have the key elements of each section. Of the A section is in D flat. That's repeated. And in the next section, the bridge is in F minor. So you need to know, that's the part of the road map, you know, and it has this ascending line up to the A flat minor, which is a 5 minor. Now 5 would normally be major or dominant, right? But now it's an A flat minor. And knowing that in theory helps you to memorize. So now here I'm in F minor on the bridge now. Here I used a sort of a locked hands technique, but I'm just doubling the melody in the left hand like that. I'm playing this. Now this is up an F minor 6 scale, right? So if you know an F minor 6, you're going right up the scale. And then up here. Now he wrote it this way. Billy Strayhorn wrote it with a D natural. I like the D flat better there because you think of, I put the 2 chord there and it's a minor 7 flat 5 and the scale is that scale there. The natural minor scale would have a D flat in it. Now you may say, well, he wrote it the other way. Well, I like it this way. I think it's better. So it's my interpretation of the song. You can do whatever you like. If you like the D natural there, then you should use it. I like that. I like, let me see. And then I played a little lick like this. Some people have asked me what that is. It's just a diminished scale built on a C7. So it's a repeating pattern. I have that in my pattern exercises if you want to check those out. Then it repeats that. Now here it starts to move in a different way. It wants to get back to D flat. So it does. This is fascinating what happens. That's a C chord with an E in the bass. Then back to the. It's so smooth, and yet he's modulating back to. Then he goes to this fantastic tritone substitute, which is a B7 sharp 11, which takes us smoothly down to the 6th chord, which then takes us smoothly, because it's dominant, to the 2 chord, and then this tritone substitute, which takes us to the 5. So that's pretty ingenious, just that. I mean, how we got from F minor back down to D flat so smoothly, you don't even know you're modulating. It's perfect in every way. So reviewing just that progression. So the F minor, then a 2-5, then the F minor, then the move down a half step, and then there back to the 2 chord in D flat. So they easily go to F minor that way. To 2, and then the tritone substitute to the 6 dominant, so now it becomes a cycle of fifths from B flat to E flat 9, and then a tritone substitute taking us to the 5 chord. And I did this. That's nice because it's a A flat sus chord, and then with the F chord in there takes us back to D flat for the refrain section, the next 32 bars. So I want to just say that knowing how the melody relates to the chord is important to understanding and memorizing. In other words, beginning of the tune, it starts on the tonic, goes up to the 3rd, and then you stay on the 3rds. They're on the 3rd of the chord, right? In every case. 3rd, the 3rd of E flat minor, 3rd, 3rd, 3rd. 5 again. Ends up on the 2 or the 9 there, and then goes to the 5 here, the 6, 1, how that melody relates to the chords is very important. So now beginning here on the refrain, starts out, now the first 4 measures are very precise, so you have to learn those and study them and practice them a lot. But we start on the 5, we go up a half step to a D7. Now we're moving up from a D flat to a D7 rather than down before moving up. We have this relationship of a 6 in the melody to a 9, 6, 9, then the 5, 5, then dominant 7th, 9, 6, and then 6. Then it goes to C7, B7, and then to E major. So that's unusual, right? D flat, C7, B7, that's very specific, so you have to practice that. And one of the ways I learned it was, I saw that this was a D flat arpeggio. So if you can see that and rationalize it, and it's going to a C chord, and it's the 5 of the C, then it's the 6 or the 13 of the B flat, and then to the 5, and then it moves down in half steps to D7, which approaches our D flat again. So that's the first thing you have to practice quite a bit to get that perfect. This, now dominant, then 6, the C7, B7 altered, then an E major, then E flat, D7. Now the next 4 bars. The next 4 bars are identical, except that it's like having a first ending and a second ending. In other words, the last part of this is going to be different. That's the same right here. Now here's that D flat. Now it goes to this D flat, 7 to a C, 7, 13, ending up on F. See, that's the thing you have to learn, sort of like, it's so unusual that you have to just learn it and memorize it by repeating over and over again and putting it in your mind. The first time you're going to be going to a C7, B7, and then an E, and the second time you're going to D flat, 7, then C7, then F. So you know you have to end up on E the first time, and the second time you end up on the F chord, and then go down the same progression. Now it went E, E flat, D. Same here, F, E, E flat, 7. Now that takes us to, on E flat 7 takes us to the bridge, which now is an A flat. So we're like in the 5 chord relative to the bridge. We're in A flat major now. Pretty fascinating, right? How did he do that? Well, again, 1, up a half step. This time, D flat 9, C13, F. First time it was C, B, E. So you have to get those 2 distinct first and second endings perfect to be understanding this. So first time C, B, E, and the second time D flat, C, F. And you see, and each time it's the 5, you know, so C, that's the 5 of C, and that's the 6, and then there's the 5. And so this is the 5 of D flat, that's the 6 of C7, and the 5. So it's the same pattern, just up a half step. Now amazingly, we're now in the key of A flat on the bridge, the bridge, the second bridge of the song, or the refrain part of it. So we're actually in the relative major of the F minor that we had in the first bridge. So that's pretty ingenious, right? We're in the relative major of what was the relative minor in the first bridge of F minor. So now this is a whole new melody now, 5, but it goes up to the E flat 7 with a sharp 9. That's an important thing that you understand, that that's a sharp 9 there, because you have a major third here and a minor third there. Now same thing. Okay, thank you Alexander Graham Bell for the interruption. And we continue now. A flat, E flat, sharp 9, A flat. Now this is a modulation, very clever. E, a 2-5 into D. Common tone, you know, E flat, common tone to E minor, A7, 2-5, 1 into D, then D minor. It's almost like he's finding a marriage between the melody and the chords. Minor, so it's through 2-5 ones. 2-5, 1, 2, 5 to C, 2-5, 1 into C, then down in half steps. B flat, A flat. So that's very clever there, that progression to get us back to the 5 chord of D, get us back to D flat. So we have this. That's not an easy thing to learn. You just have to know this is moving chromatically, and the melody is very simple. Da, 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 da. You hear that melody against that chord progression. Da, 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 da. A little bit of a stretch there, but that's important. Now we're back to the last A, and we're back to D flat. The last 8 measures of the tune of the 64 bars are a recap of what was in the original melody of the theme of the refrain, which is in the tradition of the Great American Songbook. So we went to the original melody. Now, here we have a third ending. First ending was this, remember that? Second ending was this. Well, now we have, there's that D flat, remember that D flat arpeggio. We have this into this chord here. Now this is a B flat sus9, and I think that's the climax of the song. In other words, it's a very important chord. It's always it's the high note, but it's also, you can alter it that way. Now it's the same idea as this. I just did it on a B flat, you see? It's the same kind of voicing, like a G6 against the B flat. You want to stack chords. Now, this next section, I played it rhythmically because I think of this as a unique section of the song. It's the end. It's the last 8 measures, and they're very important. So like this, 2, up a minor third, and then a 2-5 into a tritone substitute of the 5, then to the 1, now the 1 minor, and then 2-5 into C flat major, to a 3 chord, then a 2-5 into 2, same again, to the 5. So that's very clever, you know, and it's complex, but it's very clever to figure that out. Now the next section is the ending, and that is just this melody is just rising, do, 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 do. And what chords you put to those are there's different for different arrangements. I like the E to the E6 to the D flat major to the E flat major to D flat major 9, then D 9, then D flat major. The real book has it as E flat, D major, then B flat, then E flat. It descends, and rather than ascends, I like the ascending line like that. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Jazz Ranch. Please write to me. I'd be happy to demonstrate techniques for memorization on a simpler song than this. And I want to emphasize the importance of memorizing songs. I think you will enjoy them more. You will feel better about yourself when you memorize songs, and you'll be able to do more with them. You'll be able to express more and also to improvise better if you learn your songs from memory. And that's not easy for everybody, you know. It's a special thing that some people are good at and some are not so good at. But anyway, if you work at it, you will be able to do it and achieve things that will be beneficial to you, and you will enjoy that, I'm sure. So until next time, I'll say, signing off from the Jazz Ranch, swing loose, and we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.